was hot and spicy.
Piccolo, no, he's dead. No, he lives, but we're good. What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. We're back. Back checking out what's happening in the old pop culture world. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly. That's what Power Up Podcast is all about. Just another guy throwing his 2 cents in this chaotic world of woke entertainment with the hopes of rekindling that nostalgic spirit and bringing entertainment back the way it was, where no one cares about, ideology per se. If it's written in the story, it's one thing, but in the end, we just want to be entertained. We don't want things changed. Yeah, make sure I'm nice and hydrated. But yeah, we got a bunch of articles that caught my eye here. Let's hop into it. And if you're new to the show and you wanna help support the show in terms of, whoa, my headphones are slipping, of pushing that algorithm, feel free to smash that subscribe and punch that thumbs up button and ring that bell to get notified when I go live. Right now, we are on YouTube, Rumble, X, and my locals. So you can check those out. I have other social medias listed in the description below and on my link tree. If you want to give me a follow on X, feel free to do so. But yes, we're live, baby. Let's check some stuff out. So this caught my eye right away. I always love a good Evangelion topic, I guess you could say. More so this was like 2 weeks coming from film. And surprisingly, I saw another one on Screen Rant that kind of talked about telling people how to correctly watch the Evangelion franchise. I think it's hilarious. Just because I know a lot of people just like to go chronological, but I'm curious to know what they say, I guess you could say. How many times in the same sentence could I say? I don't know what I'm saying. But in any case, it kind of gives you a rundown here. We're not necessarily going to just read the article for this, at least, because probably it's just a catching up of what Eva is. It's a really good anime, by the way. I will say that. My favorite anime of all time. I would definitely recommend it. At least the TV, watch the TV series if you haven't already. Go beyond the, Shinji being a bitch and get in the robot memes sort of thing. Watch it, because a lot of kids who saw this back in the day were like 14, 15 years old. So you got a dose of reality real quick. But it's also known for its, a lot of a deep narrative. This says a dense nature of the Evangelion narrative, countless interpretations of the meaning of the story. Shinji Ikari, the symbolism Anno uses. That would be Hideki Anno. That being said, there is a correct way of experiencing the Evangelion franchise. Yes. If anything, watch the OG series and then watch Rebuild. But let's see what they have to say. So the list below includes every major piece of Evangelion media, as the hugely popular and influential series crossed over the feature films throughout the years. This is true in the sense of, a lot of people crap on Eva because they just don't understand it. They don't want to analyze it. They bash it for like Shinji and like getting the robot sort of thing. But people don't seem to be aware of the fact that Evangelion is like a staple of an anime that has influenced a lot of the anime that they may like today. But in any case, so let's see what they say. So watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. That would be the TV series. Then you would want to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion Death True 2, also known as Death and Rebirth. then the end of Evangelion, and then your rebuild. Now, why did they label it just Evangelion? It's rebuild of Evangelion. But that one's pretty simple. Just 1 through 3.0 plus 1.0 thrice about a time. This says, after the huge success of the TV show, a compilation movie was produced amidst demands by fans for an alternative ending of the television show. That movie, which is Death True 2, is literally just reused footage from the anime, compilation movie that is not necessary to watch if you just watch the show properly. Then why are you listening in here? I'll say right away, disagree with this list already, because we'll finish reading it and I'll let you know what I think you should do. But this is true. This is completely pointless. The Death True or Death and Rebirth. In fact, this whole movie is completely pointless because the death portion is like what it's saying, a recap of everything. And then Rebirth is like a couple minutes of what ultimately became the end of Evangelion. So you can literally just skip this whole thing. That alternative ending was eventually released in the form of the appropriately titled The End of Evangelion. See? Which is not an alternative ending, but functions as a meanwhile story that shows what's happening with the rest of the world simultaneously as the story from the final 2 episodes of the original anime. Hats off to them, because that is actually true. It wasn't until 2007 that Anno decided he couldn't resist just going back to Evangelion and telling the story of the rebuild of Evangelion movies, which start as a remake of the anime before diverging into telling their own equally unique and poignant and experimental story. I wasn't aware there would be more of it in terms of like the article here. But a lot of people will tell you that, so the TV show, the OG series, that was Anno depressed. Rebuild, you could say he's kind of more happy about this stuff. Here's what I think. Here's what I recommend you. If anybody hasn't seen the series, to me, this is the correct order to watch the show or the series. First off, TV series, OG. Episodes 1 through 21 is what you'll want to watch. Then get yourself a hold of the director's cuts of episodes 22 to 24. That will cover what was in essentially this whole movie. Because they added some additional stuff to the anime in the compilation, if I recall correctly, if I read correctly. But if you can get a hold of the director's cut, they incorporate that actually into the TV show. So do that. Then, before 25 and 26, watch the end of Evangelion, because heaven forbid that you can at least lessen the blow of depression once you finish the series. But I would watch the end of Evangelion before episodes 25 and 26 of the TV series, because this will give you what's actually happening around everything. Then watch the television series director's cuts of 25 and 26, which is taking place in Shinji's mind, while End of Evangelion is what's actually happening all around. Then you can go ahead and watch Rebuild, all the Rebuild stuff. That is the correct way of watching Evangelion. And then, go ahead and sit there and be depressed, because you will be depressed. I say do this because, to me, people watch the television show and then they watch the end of Evangelion. And so not only are you depressed after everything just happened, but you're confused as hell. To me, if you kind of watch End of Evangelion first, you're still going to get that hard-hitting dose of reality of what's happening in the Eva world. But then you can kind of lessen the blow in terms of watching episodes 25 and 26. So, like I said, hats off to them for actually saying meanwhile, because it actually is a meanwhile. And the video games that are out there actually came with classified information that a lot of people learned more about the series before, like even with everything that was out. And I believe it was one of the classified informations from one of the video games, or it actually came with like a card, an actual physical card. I'm kind of getting that mixed up, so I would say look into it. But I remember reading about this. That based on that, it confirms that while the end of Evangelion is what's actually physically happening on the outside world, the television series is also taking place simultaneously inside of his head. Now, me and my friends, we have our own theory in which we believe that the entire series takes place at the end of Evangelion, and it's a loop because he's essentially God mode. He's in God mode inside the end of Evangelion. And then, because he's in God mode, he can pretty much rewrite whatever he wants, but he hasn't found the self-confidence in him to realize that his life's worth living. And so, thanks to Rei, who essentially has a little soul inside of her and kind of has that mother figure, you can kind of see the TV series, the end of Eva, and a rebuild, a different telling of the story, hence a different version, with each version slightly changing. That's our own theory. And honestly, if you watch Rebuild Evangelion 3.0 and 1.0, like it's kind of what my friends and I have talked about in the past. So we were kind of proud of ourselves to kind of guessing of how that was going to end. So we were close. But speaking of the video games, I also saw a Game Rant article that actually lists the best Neon Genesis Evangelion games. Because surprisingly, they have a bunch of video games, from visual novels to fighting games. So titles like First Impression and Battle Orchestra offer fans an interactive anime experience. And then you've got Evangelion, which is referred to as Evangelion 64, stands out as the best all-rounder, which I actually have seen footage and I actually would love to play. I should look up into seeing if there's an English patch of that. But I'm curious to what they're saying is the kind of like the top games. So the device, yeah, a lot of games never made it over outside of Japan and can only be played in Japanese, or if there's a sweet translation group out there. So they're saying First Impression, last in the series video game debut, apparently it came from Sega Saturn. It's a visual novel RPG. A lot of people may know the, Steel Girl one. That's like the Evangelion dating one. Or Steel Girlfriend, I think. Excuse me. I'm a little disappointed that they don't have any pictures. At least to show you guys like what these games are. I know some of them. First Impression sets the tone of most games in the series by prioritizing like actual footage, imagery, and music from the TV series over gameplay elements. Takes place shortly after the episode Asuka Strikes. You take control of Shinji Ikari after losing his memories following a traumatic angel battle and must recover by, sparring with Asuka before eventually reconfronting the angel that defeated him. Interesting on how you make that work, because all the angels were like hell-bent on getting Lilith. Getting to Lilith or Adam. So how that works, I'm not exactly sure, but cool. And it mixes RPG elements, animated footage. Whole thing can be finished in a tidy 40 minutes or so. Oh, well then. Cheerful celebration of anime with some neat Saturn era visual effects. So next one is Shinzeki Evangelion typing project. So one of those typing things. Player must use a special keyboard to type words within a time limit to complete tasks. Typing Project E sits at the quirkier end of the spectrum of the games as it comically bounces between serious and not so serious scenarios. The best anime were the main... I hate this setup that they like insert different like articles like from... I'm like using MSN because they have a bunch of like news stuff, which I mean, I take it with a grain of salt, but it shows stuff like this. Because I think this is like, this section right here is like a whole different thing. It's like an ad or something, and they do a terrible job separating it between the two. I mean, but nothing to explain, I guess, here. It's a typing it's a typing game. What'd you expect to happen? Got Misato chugging her beer, prepping bento boxes, requires a kana and Latin characters, so English speakers may have a little more to enjoy in this colorful, outlandish entry. Neon Genesis Evangelion second impression. Also for the Sega Saturn, visual novel RPG. Biggest difference in this case is that the game utilizes a choose-your-own-adventure approach and has separate routes that the player can take in the narrative, each with their own ending. Oh, that's cool. Contains a brand new story, but also has the same structure as the episode of the show, so fans will feel like they're playing an interactive anime. Ooh. The game focuses on Shinji's interaction with a transfer student named Mayumi Yamagishi and their infection by an angel. Ooh. Like an angel actually infected them? That's an interesting twist. The gameplay refines on the RPG formula and throws in plenty of animated footage. Battle Orchestra. Neon Genesis Evangelion Battle Orchestra. I have actually played this game, and it is like a Smash Brothers game. And it's actually pretty dang good. Yep, came for the PS2 and then your PlayStation Portable. You could actually probably find stuff on YouTube, like game footage. So yeah, if you want to duke it out, it'll be the seventh heaven as every Eva unit and angel from the franchise is included. Yeah, that's cool. They did have like almost all the angels, and it was crazy in how they were able to implement it. Some fan service thrown in for good measure as characters from the Rebuild films are also included. The gameplay mechanics lack the depth of a more well-known fighting game like Super Smash Bros., but it's still serviceable. The game featured fully rendered 3D backgrounds, and each player character could perform 2 special attacks that could unleash a devastating special attack. Yeah, I remember that. That was dope. So there's a rebuild of Evangelion Rhythm game for the PlayStation Portable, overseen by No More Heroes developer Grasshopper manufacturer. Nice. With Suda51 as executive producer. Game came out shortly after the first rebuild. Dang, Rebuild was back in like 2012. Oh my gosh, where has the time gone, guys? It is insane. Anyway, rhythm game, usually not my forte. First-person mecha combat, Evangelion VR Throne of Souls. Ooh. It's an Eva unit first-person pilot simulation in a VR game, no less. Players take a seat in a dedicated motion simulator that is meant to be an Eva cockpit without getting soaked in immersive LCL orange fluid. Aw, come on now. That should have been part of the charm, where they must defend Tokyo 3 from the 10th Angel, teaming up with 2 other pilots to banish the foul beast. Nice. Yeah, and last one, that's pretty much what I've seen everyone says is like probably the most solid Eva game is surprisingly Neon Genesis Evangelion, just that for the N64. So it offers a longer playing time than some of its competitors, looks noticeably better than several Nintendo 64 games released. Yeah, I've seen some footage, and it's actually pretty dang solid for the technology at the time. And I think it goes... Does this tell... I forget where it goes up to. I want to say the game actually goes up all the way to maybe Kaoru and kind of that thing. I know it doesn't go to end of Ava. So you pilot Unit 1, defeat angels, but there are unlockable gameplay modes, as well as the chance to play as Rei or Asuka, and that the game's cinematic presentation made it feel like an episode come to life, and it includes story aspects not found in the TV show or movies, making it a holy grail. Nice. I'll have to look to see if I can snag a copy. But there you go. There is some news for you for Ava. So jumping over into Video Game Chronicle, apparently Super Mario Brothers 2 is kind of in the works, in that I believe the actor, right down here, Toad's voice actor, apparently teases intriguing setting and deep cut characters. Sequel is, quote, a little broader in scope, according to the Toad actor. Oh, Keegan-Michael Key. I couldn't remember who voiced Toad. So the Super Mario Brothers movie sequel features some less widely known characters from the Nintendo franchise and an intriguing set. So Keegan-Michael Key, who teased some of what fans can expect from the upcoming film in an interview with Men's Journal. One thing I can say about the second movie is that it's a little broader in scope, and where it takes place is very intriguing lore in the Mario world, he said. We're going to find some really fantastic Easter eggs, and it's been very exciting so far. I feel like what they've done creatively is they've really widened out the universe that these characters live in, and we're going to meet some new folks, he continued. We're going to meet some new folks that are old favorites, and some folks that I think are really deep cuts because of the way the story's laying itself out right now. Those characters are going to be very intriguing. Wonder if they'll include the Game Boy characters. That'd be crazy. See that get mixed in there. And then it kind of tells you how the first Mario Brothers movie did, the animated one. I actually really like the the live action Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hopkins and John Leguizamo. And like the original, this sequel is going to be produced by Illumination CEO Chris Meledandri and Nintendo designer guru Shigeru Miyamoto. Directed by Aaron Horvath, Michael Jelenic, and written by Matthew Fogel. Very cool. So there's anybody who was fans of the Mario Brothers 2 movie. Looks like we're going to get some deep cuts. Wondering, obviously they got to have the OG, the lost levels are actually Super Mario Brothers 2 from Japan, because we got the other Mario Madness, Super Mario Brothers 2. So I wonder if there'll be some stuff in there. Wonder if they'll have the actual OG, the side one, where it's just you can go, you go through the pipes and hit the Koopas underneath. So I'm wondering if I'm just trying to think of Mario stuff, because he says super deep cuts. So what if there's parallel Marios and they actually have Jumper Man? Because Jumper Man turned into Mario. That'd be pretty cool. All right. So very interested about this, because apparently the first Silent Hill 2 and Metaphor Re Fantasio reviews have been published by Japanese magazine Famitsu. And I believe they're referring to the remake, Silent Hill 2 remake. So apparently both games were reviewed in this week's Japanese magazine issue Famitsu, then posted online by Ryo Kuda 2098, and that the scoring system has 4 members of the staff playing the game and giving a score, and then combine it together, get an overall score of 40. So, Metaphor Re Fantasio received 9,9,10,9, giving the total score 37 out of 40. And that the game took 80 hours to finish, over 100 including side activities, and excerpts of the translated review claim that the gameplay itself feels almost the same as the Persona series, and that the coolness of the presentation is on a different level. Now here's the big one. Silent Hill 2 received a 35 out of 40 overall score, with each individual score breaking it down to 8,999. The game takes 16 to 18 hours to clear, according to the magazine, and that the review claims from a translated expert, the sense of realism and creepiness brought by the beautiful visual and sound is incredible. And that that Silent Hill 2 remake's coming up in October 8th for PS5 and PC. Now, interesting on how they gave it such a high rating. But I feel, at least in Japan, they can kind of ignore the DEI woke stuff. But we have some articles open up that that's not necessarily the case, because the creator of Dragon's Quest is getting bashed for questioning the retarded gender regulation bullshit. So we'll see that. I don't mind playing the Silent Hill 2 remake, but there better be mods to get rid of the woke shit. I'm hoping there might be, but it's been having mixed reviews. So it's just surprising that they gave it a 35 out of 40. Crucially for the health of the series, Silent Hill 2 feels like it'll be exactly the kind of shot in the arm that will bring the series back into the vogue, says somebody from VGC. Resident Evil remake comparison will likely be inescapable, but that is a bad thing when Capcom's latest efforts have been just as genre-defining for modern survival horrors as both Resident Evil and Silent Hill were in the genre's nascent days. And then the Metaphor one's getting released on October 11th. Apparently it's not a Persona clone, according to VGC, but the team has taken everything you wanted them to from a Persona title and brought it into a new world of Metaphor. Refantazio. Yeah, I'm still hesitant about the Silent Hill 2 remake. I'm definitely not going to get it like day of. I'll wait. Because is this the new version? Because people were complaining about this. They were complaining about the characters, how they uglified them and fattened them up. They got rid of, I thought, the Pyramid Head, banging scene when he hides in the closet, which is retarded because the whole point of Pyramid Head is James's punishment, but also wanting to, expressing his sexual frustration because, Maria was having that disease and they couldn't have kids anymore. So completely retarded to remove it. And obviously the biggest thing is that it was update for modern audience. So big red flags. So again, I feel it's creeping in, but hopefully I'm hoping that the people who played this games were fair about it in terms of realizing kind of what the game is doing. But it was still pretty high. That just surprised me. But again, like I said, we're starting to see it in Japan, but like Japan is still kind of like, since they don't know a lot of the DEI and woke stuff, they can look past it. So that's kind of what I'm chalking why this rating is kind of up there. But we just want to let Japanese people know that, like, look, you don't have to listen to the weirdos, like, because they don't represent gaming, because they're activists. Speaking of another, I think, horror game, going over to Niche Gamer, Crow Country is coming to Switch, PS4 this month. And it's announcing it's going to be a new port by indie developer SFB, throwback survival horror game. I feel like I've heard of this, but I haven't like super looked into it. It's going to be available for Windows PC, Series XS, PS5. What are they doing? Oh, Features an exploration mode for those who wish to enjoy the game without being attacked. Well, I mean, that defeats the point of the game. I guess they just give you a summary of like what the game is about. Years 1990, Edward Crow has disappeared, owner of Crow Country, small theme park in the rural outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. Oh no, he has not been seen since. He unexpectedly shut down his park 2 years ago, and then the silence is broken when a mysterious young woman named Mara Forrest ventures into the heart of the abandoned theme in order to find him. Why did it shut down? Are the disturbing rumors about Crow Country true? Who exactly is Mara Forrest? So, if you're a fan of that one, you guys could check that out as well. All right. Now we're getting into more of the like juicy stuff. I do have an article ranging from, more info about Alyssa Mercante and her retarded lawsuit against Smash JT, some ghost of Yotai. What do we want to start with first? Why not? Coming from that park place, Alyssa Mercante declares she will be pursuing legal remedies against YouTuber Smash JT after his lawyer rejected her demand. Boss response, by the way, from Ron Coleman. Also, straight up narcissist right here. Because anybody can look at the amount of stuff that this weirdo has said and realize that she is the harbinger of her own undoing because she has started lots of stuff. I just realized that there we go. My border was a little bit off. Oh, what the heck? Why is... There we go. Sorry, I noticed my energy glow was not fully... was going... or the tabs was like beyond what I had set. Anyway, so Alyssa Mercante declared she will be pursuing legal remedies against YouTuber Smash JT after his lawyer Ron Coleman rejected her initial demands for an apology upon threat of a lawsuit. Apology that they would determine is good enough, and also the appropriate language was used. So not really an apology, a force of compliance, which Ron Coleman beautifully shut down. And then Mercante, through her lawyer, Lane Haygood, sent a Smash JT a cease and desist letter accusing him of defaming and harassing her. The girl who said, "Come physically fight me." Pretty much opening up a challenge to anyone is saying that she's the one being harassed and defamed. Also went out of her way to contact Smash JT's wife, by the way. Like, gosh, I hate this pick. The narcissism. I mean, you just look at that and you know, you're told everything you need to know. So here's screenshots and the tweets of the full letter that her lawyer sent. So in response to these allegations and the threat of a lawsuit, Smash JT hired Ron Coleman of the Dehillon Law Group, who rejected Mercante's accusation and her demands for an apology. And then Coleman wrote in a letter to Mercante, "We will not rebut your assertion points. We will not rebut your assertions point by point. None of the statements you attribute to Mr. Tarzi," and that would be Jeff Tarzi, JT, "in section 1 of your letter is defamatory under New York or California law, because they are either true or are protected opinion or polemic. Additionally, your speculation as to what Mr. Tarzia knew, what motivated any comments he may have made, and the financial operation of Mr. Tarzia's social media are incorrect and baseless." And if you've looked at, there's Ron. If you've looked at kind of the screenshots that Smash JT has provided, like everything he has said that I've seen is in complete response of Merlissa. I mean, she's not even worth having her name pronounced correctly at this point. Is in complete response of something that Alyssa has said. And it's so obvious. It's, again, like she's doing this out of pure narcissism. Claims that she's constantly being threatened, doxxed, and stuff when she's literally have done exactly what she says. Again, because these people project everything onto other people because they're always the victim in the scenario. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what happened. Doesn't even matter where the origin took place of how it came to where it is today. They're the victim in some shape and form. They could look at a bag of Doritos and say, that's a bag of Cheetos. And then someone will be like, no, that's a bag of Cheetos. And then they'll get pissed off and, defend it and make up all these bullshit reasons. And then you'll show them, no, bag of Doritos right here. Well, you saw how I saw the, the color orange on it, and Cheetos are orange. So in a way, I'm right. It's like, no, you're wrong because you're retarded. Like, that's the mentality these people do. They'll do everything that they can to make it to where, like, they are justified in some way, shape, and form. And that all this backlash on them is harassment and, defamation. Anyway, back down here. He continued, for these reasons and many others, your assertion that Miss Mercante would prevail if, quote, this matter were taken to court is not only unfounded, but is transparently an empty threat. In fact, as you are doubtless aware, if these claims were litigated in either New York or California, they would not only be dismissed, but it is your client who would be exposed to potential liability under the anti-SLAPP laws in both states. The harassment claims described in Section 2 of your letter are just as meritless, a daisy chain of fallacious reasoning, or it's fallacy, fallacious? Did I say fallacious? Fallacious reasoning, whatever. Both legal and factual, undergirded by yet more speculation about Mr. Tarzia's mindset and activities, and an overblown depiction of the centrality of your client to his work. Mr. Tarzia bears no responsibility, moreover, for any harm your client may have suffered as a result of, oh boy, our favorite produce agriculturalist, Kiwi Farms. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're going with it. Your client's ire and her lawyer's condescending letter should be directed to that entity, not Mr. Tarzia. Yeah, and there he is. He's like, what the fuck? Why do I have to deal with this? I understand. Coleman then declared, your demands in sum are rejected. There will be no apologies or retraction from Mr. Tarzia to your client, and there will be no further personal, ethical, or career advice, much less veiled references to our client's family, which are not well taken from your office to Mr. Tarzia. All further correspondence or communication concerns this matter are to be addressed to me. Wabam. So we can, you may not be able to see it just because it's digital and you got your white background here and you got all that stuff. But this is actually drenched. This is actually sogging wet from the tears that Alyssa Mercante probably had when she read this and was like all of it just dripping on her keyboard as she's, responding to this. In response to this letter, Mercante wrote on X, I was hopeful that Jeff Tarzia would take my letter as an opportunity to be more mature, but in the absence of his good nature, I will be pursuing legal remedies and have given my team permission to pursue those. Remember, come fight me, you stupid motherfucker, as she so elegantly put in this retarded PDF gathering. It's a joke. I just only say that because I see that mustache back there and it's like, ugh. Dangerous to grow a mustache nowadays. Got to have that beard with it, but whatever. But all joking aside, though, this is retarded. This is so stupid. Again, you can clearly, and she does this whole thing where she has I don't know how, I'm assuming it's some sort of software or mechanic that auto blocks blue check marks. And she straight up stated this before, that she blocks all this people, like all of these people, and then shit posts behind said blocks and protected mode and all that shit. All in the sense to make it hard for you to reach her or like, I don't even understand the reasoning, because of the fact that you think that people are going out of your way to like try to engage with you. Again, is so narcissistic. No one cares about it. And that's why she gets so upset about it. So then she has to interject something to make herself relevant to something that wasn't even probably about her to begin with. And then, does the unblock, state something, then quickly reblocks. Again, she stated that. You can see like past tweets about it. There's so many screenshots out there. It's ridiculous. And Smash JT actually has a bunch of them. So that'll be interesting if she's really serious about wanting to go to court. So in a subsequent post, she adds, "Please do not direct anything hateful or harassing towards him, and do not reach out to him in any capacity." Notice how now, because she's actually claiming she's going to take legal ramification, notice how now all of a sudden it's don't do anything hateful or harassing. When, remember, she said she's down to physically fight anybody. And Vera Dark stepped up and said, "All right, let's do it." And then, nope, got to be under my terms, can't be recorded. You're not allowed to share to your bigot viewers, all that stuff. And then, I even forget how she worded it, but straight up was like, "Yeah, Vera, you come alone if we're going to be doing this." It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh my gosh. And then, "Let's let the courts handle this. Thanks for all the support." And then she can't speak to this any further at the moment. Oh, that's probably the biggest thing that's eating her up inside, is that she can't respond to anything. Because it's like, ugh. It's like, ugh, I gotta protect my reputation. And then everyone goes, "What reputation? Like, you don't have one anymore. Or did you even have one to begin with?" But again, these are the people that, like, any sort of publicity is good publicity, even if they're like painted as retarded. But whatever. But there's update on that. Hope everything goes well with Smash JT. If she really wants to take this to court, I hope she gets absolutely raked across the coals. And if this is definitely a big moment, this would actually be a quite influential case down the road in the video game journaling and all this stuff too. Because it goes to show that these people are like not what they claim they are. Inclusive, diverse, all that stuff. Oh, they'll define it. It's their definition, but it's not actually the real definition of diversity and inclusivity. Forced diversity is pretty much, to me, is a worser form of racism and bigotry and all that stuff than what these people claim that they're trying to fight against. Because again, these people analyze life through that SJW checkbox: gender, race, sexuality, ethnicity, XYZ. Every aspect of life has to be analyzed with whichever those checklist is involved. Which is, again, how can you not realize that that's like the worst form of racism and bigotry you can absolutely do? You don't get a free pass just because you're fighting against it. And then don't get butthurt when, a lot of people are like, in terms of like, the pendulum, these people think they're swinging the pendulum back harder and like sticking it to the bigots and racists out there. When in actuality, they're the ones that are the racists and the bigots. And chances are the other side is going to get tired enough that they'll pretty much break the pendulum when they're ramming it down back into your face. Metaphorically speaking. I'm saying. And again, she straight up says, like, she's fine with a physical altercation. Man, I wish someone would have just said that they felt like a woman at the moment and became like a trans woman and challenged her. Other people did too, by the way. An actual, I think, person that was actually served, I think, straight up said, yeah, I'll challenge you. And like she has like won all these awards for kicking ass. Oh, that would have been amazing. But again, what we saw with Vara, I would say I think it's Vara because it's like car and then Vara. My apologies, Vara. I always change my pronunciation and it bothers the crap out of me when I do it. Anyway, next on the agenda. So the rest of these come from that Park Place, by the way. So rumor, Sony executives not happy with initial Ghost of Yote response, and developers were blindsided with new female character. So a new rumor claims that Sony executives are seemingly not happy with the response to the announcement trailer of Ghost of Yote, and that a number of developers were blindsided by the new female character, Atsu. And so YouTuber Endymion, I think that's how he pronounced it. I guess we could play this real quick.
Hey everyone, it's Endymion, and recently I've been talking to... Hey everyone, it's Endymion, and...
Endymion, dang it. Endymion. See, I felt like I pronounced it right once. Endymion. All right. So Endymion shared this information from an alleged insider. He said, apparently Ghost of Yotai blindsided many people that were working at Sony who were not made aware of what Sucker Punch was making. He added, and that people in the mid-levels at Sony were actually confused when Yote was announced because they were under the impression that Jin Sakai would be getting a sequel. Uh-oh. Endymion. Oh my gosh, did I already mispronounce it? Endymion? Oh my gosh. Just
Endymion,
hey, motherfucker. Why can't you just spell your name with demon? That Y is throwing me off. Endymion. I'm just messing around. Anyway. Yeah, they were like, where's Jin Sakai? And they're like, oh, he's not here. Here's some woman. They are not happy at all when it comes to the responses of the game either, internally at Sony right now. Dude, again, like, oh my gosh. See, this is where, sadly, like, we got to hope that Ubisoft burns to the ground, because that should be, hopefully, the huge wake-up call to all these CEO people to realize that, one, you're listening to not gamers, you're listening to activists. Two, nobody likes DEI and woke shit being fisted inside of a video game. Or, to be more clearly, fisted inside of an established franchise that had no problems with this in the past, but now, for some reason, needs to have it. And three, now can also point to when you make a game that's focused on DEI and woke bullshit, it fails. Concord, Dustborn. Gosh, like, again, this is where my sympathy to like a studio like Ubisoft is completely gone. Like, there might be people in there that are legitimately good developers that might lose their jobs and stuff like that. But it sounds like a lot of those developers leave or get fired and get replaced by a diversity hire and all that shit. So I don't feel bad if the company burns to the ground. The circuit tent comes crumbling down into a fiery heap. If it needs to happen, it needs to happen for a wake-up call. And maybe other studios will finally pull their head out of their asshole and realize, oh yeah, we probably should actually listen to actual gamers. Or better yet, maybe it'll be a wake-up call to be like, you know what, back in the day, it wasn't actually really a big deal. And any of this stuff was actually just kind of worked out behind the scenes. All right, so these are just quotes that we've read from past articles talking about people commenting on the idea of now a new protagonist. All right. Okay, a lot of padding taking place in the article again. So outside of the trailer, Sony and Sucker Punch were heavily criticized for featuring a female character in a formerly male lead franchise, with many pointing to Sony's diversity and inclusion policies. Cabrutus Rambo, creator of the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected Steam curator list, and DEIdetected.com posted, but the female protagonist in the next Ghost of game is not because of DEI reasons. Below, we have Sony's latest corporate report released yesterday. The signs are there. Don't be surprised if we discover things about this game in the future. So, yeah, there it is, right there. We belong, we create, we grow together to bring Kando. Now, I enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima. Some people might say that there was hints of DEI stuff in there to begin with. I mean, the one person I think of that I kind of heard his reasoning, because he wasn't a big Ghost of Tsushima person, I believe, was Razor Fist. An interesting aspect on that, because I think, what is it, Lady Masako? Like one of the subquest characters, the person who wanted to avenge her family and stuff, which, by the way, I always compare that was a better revenge story than the entire Last of Us Part 2. I thought there was like dialogue in there that she was like gay or something like that. I mean, it probably went over my head because I didn't see it that way or something. But I know Razor Fist pointed out, like, I think, well, he believes that the story wasn't solid or something. I mean, what is it, Kanto Khan, when he like sets that guy on fire in the beginning? That stuck out pretty harsh, or pretty intense and harsh. But I am on the side of, yeah, it would have been nice to see, they're trying to claim, oh, well, Jin's story's over. It's like, are you kidding? Like, it barely begun. Because you could have had like a whole sequel of, Jin, Sakai, like a Punisher thing. Like, you have an origin of the Punisher. You have the Punisher who's getting started and kind of understanding his now new resolve. Then you have the Punisher that's like been doing it for a long time and is now just working on like sheer willpower to continue, this resolve, because that's all he knows how to do now. And then you could have had a passing of the torch. Like, easily could have done that, but nope. And they said we gotta get that strong woman. So Ghost of Yote is Sony's next big game. To think that they wouldn't shove DEI into their most anticipated title is ignorant. There are only so many signs that people can withstand before they start asking questions, and we're now at that point. Just because the 3-minute long trailer doesn't outright say it to your face doesn't mean it isn't there, but we should know this point by now. And I pointed out the fact, too, that, yeah, unfortunately, it has gotten to the point, with Anita Scorsese, the policies that companies are implementing, your Alyssa Mercantes and stuff like that. Everybody now is in, if we're in boxing mode, everybody now is on the defense. Everyone now has their fist raised and are just looking at the opponent to see what attack is going to come, in the form of DEI. And now a lot of people are starting to become to where it doesn't matter what the attack is, they're throwing haymakers right away. Like, at the beginning when I saw this, I kind of was like, okay, let's see what else they have to say. What's up, Komanga? Let's see what they have to say and stuff. And then we can attack appropriately. Counter, get those sweet jabs in, and then, I don't know, go scorched earth if we have to. But yeah, you got a comment right here. Ghost of Yotai is 100% going to be woke DEI fest. Screw Sony. May they lose money hand over foot, and may their market value crash. So, and then we got former Sony chairman Sean Layden throwing fuel to the fire by pretty much saying, and then, it's a game, it's entertainment, it's a story a team of creators believes in. They want to make this. But that's the whole point. Your story of a team of creators, it's not their story. It should be a story for the gamers, not for you. For gamers. That's the whole point of directing. That's the whole point of creating art, is that you're wanting to tell a story that hopefully resonates with people and shares with people. And I'll agree. There is a borderline between, making a story for yourself that ultimately can end in one big circle jerk, and making a story to where, there's a group of people that want to tell the story, but you're wanting to make the story that everybody can enjoy, that everybody can be on board and want to learn. If you're making a story of, well, we made one where there's a male protagonist, now there needs to be a female protagonist, that's red flags. Wasn't like that back in the day. There were plenty of strong female characters back in the day. But again, we're at that point now where everybody's hands are up in defense mode, waiting to see what's up. And then, of course, never should a former Sony chairman or a chairman of any company say, if you don't like it, don't buy it, because Ubisoft, Sony is now really seeing that people are not buying their games. So in fact, why not make the game you want yourself? Funny thing is that, indie games don't have a lot of that funding. They have to resort to crowdsourcing and all that stuff. And we all know what people like, the wokeists do when they see a game that looks like that's going to be successful, but it's not up to their DEI standards. They go after it. They do it. Prime example, Last of Us Part 2. Those leaks came out. Everyone said, what the hell are you doing? This sucks. No one asked for this. This is terrible. So what did they do? They responded that when that flute player at E3 came for Ghost of Tsushima, they all attacked him, saying this is whitewashing. This is it for diversity, mind you, for diversity. Doing all this, and I don't have any receipts, but I'm 100%. But no one truly believes the Game Awards anymore. But guarantee you, all of those judges were biased, because Last of Us Part 2 won all these awards and stuff. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima was the fan favorite. So on top of all this, Sucker Punch also hired a radical activist in Erika Ishii. Yep, to play Atsu, and casting directors have made it clear they cast individuals to push the DEI agenda and woke ideology. Yep, and we even read, granted it was on Wikipedia, that supposedly she was told to keep her politics and stuff to herself back in the day, which was actually great advice that I would recommend too. Still do. But now she's becoming more open, because obviously the woke people are in charge of Hollywood and infesting the video game industry. So The Witcher casting director Sophie Holland told Acting Up in Variety, I'm always the first to champion diversity in all its glory. Forced diversity. Let's be real here. They say diversity, but it doesn't mean what it actually means. To them, first diversity is removing, any sort of person that does not go along with their ideology, and especially white males. One that springs to mind was the character of Yennefer on The Witcher. Lauren Schmidt Hisrich is the showrunner, and we work so well together, and she's open to conversation. Are they talking about like the actual show? Yeah, but once Henry Cavill left, it turned to shit. Because Henry Cavill actually was like, dude, there's a lore. We need to establish that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just skimmed through this right here. In the book, she's described as the most beautiful woman in the world. This was a few years ago, and I like to think things have changed. But when you think about people's unconscious bias, look at this. These people think they know what you're unconscious, like your subconscious, like they're mind readers when they're not. Especially in the fantasy world, it felt like these worlds were predominantly white. There you go, right there. These people cannot admit the fact that the video game industry is made up of white males. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Get used to it. And the women that were part of the video game community back in the days straight up had tough skin to handle it. Your Alex Zedra, your Melanie Mack, all that stuff. They can handle that shit because they can dish it back out. These people cannot dish it back out. And then they have the gall to tell you, well, you need to be removed. No, you need to be removed, develop some tough skin, and then you could possibly come back. But now it's gotten to the point to where it's like, nah, you never cared about it in the first place. So, no, you're not welcome. Anyway, oh yeah, so they're just posting more stuff of her woke ideology stuff. Yeah, she defund the police. Yeah, defund the police. Fuck TERFs, you know, all this bullshit. So, yeah. So what do you make of this rumor regarding the internal reaction of Ghost of Yotai at Sony? Well, maybe if Ubisoft burns to the ground and they actually change, you know, maybe they'll actually get early and be like, oh yeah, we need to do something to replace this because this isn't good because Ubisoft is like crashing and burning. Maybe. I doubt it's going to happen. Who knows? Komanga, I see white people. I see white people. I know, right? But the funniest thing is remember when Asian hate was taking place and everyone was backing it up? And then all of a sudden it just disappeared when they looked in and realized that the majority of people who committed, you know, crimes against Asian people were, African American. Uh-oh. And the ultimate thing is, like, she thinks she's safe because she follows the DEI mentality and stuff like that. Is she unaware of the fact that people probably don't like her too because they're white adjacent? That's what a lot of these people think of too. Like the higher ups, if you're Asian, they'll consider you white adjacent. That's the thing. That's the ultimate irony. Is you think befriending the devil is gonna somehow make you avoid his wrath or something if you want to go down that route, when in actuality, like, he hates you just as much and you're retarded for joining his side because you're just being used. Oh my goodness gracious. I would like to call, I label these people the Bennies of the world. You know, from The Mummy. Where he's like, it is better to be on the devil's, you know, it is better to be on the devil's right hand than in his path. As long as I serve him, I am immune. Like, that is their logic. They're bennies. They're the bennies of the world. And then at the end, you know, they get eaten alive by, you know, flesh-eating scarabs. So this is probably one of the... Well, we have this one too. Ubisoft's alleged original plan for Assassin's Creed Shadow revealed before it was ditched in favor of pushing DEI agenda with Yasuke and Naoe. So Endymion also kind of covered this too, because it's down here too. And supposedly... This is talking about how this is a plot leak, a massive alleged plot leak claims to reveal what Ubisoft originally had planned before they, you know, ditched it to go down the DEI agenda with our well-documented, well-known, loved all over the world Yasuke and this bitch. I shouldn't say that. It's Naoe. So this plot leaks comes from YouTuber Endymion, who previously revealed that a number of sources informed him that Assassin's Creed Shadows featured a male Japanese protagonist. And then we kind of read this, I believe, on Monday. I was also told when they originally saw the game, this is Endymion, He's saying the developers told him that when they originally saw the game, there was indeed a male Japanese protagonist with their own finalized art and even animations. Again, anybody out there, any of the devs out there, I know I'm not like a big, we're working on growing our YouTube and stuff, but man, I would love to see that artwork and animations, because if that was the case, dude, drop that stuff immediately. Leak that shit. They don't know if this character will be reintroduced to replace Yasuke, but they are skeptical that Ubisoft will actually remove Yasuke because they'll get backlash from the journalist. Fuck them. Remove it. But I don't foresee... I mean, I don't know. I'm still on the mindset that they will not let go of Yasuke because he is the character that these people dream about, that was handed to him on a platter. Little known information, black dude, gay, all this made up by Thomas Lockley, of course, but he's their he's their golden god. He's the golden goose. Yeah, so when they had this plan for a while, they swapped it sometime around 2020 supposedly because of Black Lives Matter. George Floyd dying, the riots, the mostly peaceful riots, and also I think a black dude, I forget, my apologies for his name. I've heard his name and it's slipping my mind, but I believe an African-American business owner who died in said riots. Didn't hear anybody crying about that happening. So they, used Yasuke because they can, make him cater to the woke people. Originally, Yasuke was a Japanese man. 2020 George Floyd riots happened. Ubisoft decided to change the main character to a black man. A lot of insiders have come forward. Henderson replied, not true. Oh, it was denied by Insiders Gaming Tom Henderson. And now Endymion has new details regarding what he alleges is the original version that does not feature Yasuke nor Naoe, but rather a Shinto monk named Taka Yamauchi. Was contacted by someone who worked on the original version of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they laid out to me that the story was before it was eventually scrapped by Ubisoft for the Yasuke story. Originally, the plot of Shadows was supposed to surround a piece of Eden, like other games, called the Sword of Eden. Oh my gosh, you mean they actually would connect it? Amazing. It was an Isu artifact like the apple or the staff in Odyssey, but this sword would corrupt its wielders with power and then give them dominion over others, he relayed. The hero of the story was named Taka Yamauchi, who was a Shinto monk, Endymion revealed. Taka was decided to be a follower of Shintoism because it was a unique religion within Japan at the time. Very true. Which would give Taka an interesting viewpoint of the world around him. This was chosen because the writers on Shadows wanted to give the audience a glimpse into a world that was foreign to many, and it was juxtaposed. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, and it's bothering me. Oh my gosh. All right. Does it frustrate anybody else when you've seen the word and you swear you've heard it and you could have sworn that you've said it, but you just feel like you're failing at pronouncing it? Because that's me right now for a lot of things.
Juxtapose.
Juxtapose.
Juxtapose. Okay, I did say it right. Yay. Yay me. Anyway. So as it was juxtaposed against the idea that the Shinto monk wanted nothing to do with the conflict or the wars that were being engulfed by nobles. So pretty much the hero was a badass nice guy who wanted to garden all day and meditate. But of course, like any good badass, danger finds themselves eventually. Apparently the story would have switched into high gear when Oda Nobunaga was killed, he said. And then he detailed Taka Yamauchi. Our hero would be in a nearby temple when the fall of Oda Oda Nobunaga happens. A fugitive would then come to Taka's temple from that said battle and reveal himself to be Hattori Hanzo, who, if you don't know, one of the legendary ninjas of the same time period in real. He was an actual person that was instrumental to the legend that we know today of Japanese shinobi. Hattori Hanzo would be wounded upon meeting Taka and would reveal that he had but one possession in his car. His car? Same here, words can escape you, yeah. Like, his cart, maybe? He drove up in his car, wounded in battle. You know, it's kind of like the modernized version of Romeo and Juliet, sounds like. But it would reveal to be the Sword of Eden taken from the hands of Oda Nobunaga after his death by Akechi Mitsuhide and his band of murderous, power-hungry samurai brethren. He continued, and Akechi Mitsuhide would announce that Hattori Hanzo was a traitor for stealing the sword, pinning the whole murder of Oda Nobunaga on him, and using the confusion of the chaos of his lord's death to make it seem like Akechi was not the one who landed the killing blow. So the entirety of Japan was out looking for this shinobi man who, unbeknownst to Taka, was carrying the Sword of Eden that could change the fate of Japan, depending on who wielded it. Dude, that already sounds like way better. How do you not go with that? Did not stop there. Taka would agree to treat Hanzo's wounds and would shelter his presence from Akechi and the samurai. Within this newfound trust, Hanzo would reveal to Taka that he belonged to a mysterious clan, unbeknownst to the outside world, of Iga shinobis that were working to save Japan from the clutches of Akechi and his corrupt samurai. These Iga shinobis would be revealed as the Japanese branch of the Hidden Ones, and this is how Taka would be introduced to the creed of the Assassins. This men would also visit Taka's temple looking for information on whether he saw a wounded man carrying an item on him, but Taka would skillfully dissuade Akechi and him and then throw them off on Hanzo's trails. Apparently, one of the big branching narratives was going to be Taka going against Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and at some point in the story, I was told that this Hideyoshi would come into possession of the Sword of Eden himself and would then use it to sway the people of Japan to his sides, and Taka, now part of the Iga Shinobi's Hidden Ones, would be waging a secret war against Toyotomi and Akechi in order to secure the sword and ensure Japan was freed of this Templar samurai rule. Wow. Toyotomi would refer to himself as the demon king of the six heavens and was clearly becoming corrupt by the Isu technology within the Sword of Eden that was warping his mind and likely turning him into an untrustworthy madman who would think that everyone was out to get him. And then, according to my sources, the story would eventually end with Taka defeating Akechi Mitsuhide for killing Oda Nobunaga, and eventually within the shadows taking down Hideyoshi, claiming the Sword of Eden for the Iga Shinobu Hidden Ones. And then the story would then end with the Tokugawa Ieyasu, who was the first shogun of the Tokugawa shogunate, ushering in the new era for Japan that would span from 1603 all the way up to the 1868 of the Meiji Restoration. From what I understand from this story, Tokugawa Ieyasu would not use the Sword of Eden to control the Japan people. He would use charity and community to usher in new era of the Japan, or for Japan, excuse me. Wow. And then Taka would obviously fade in the shadows. Dang. If that is absolutely the case, already sounds like a better story than what they're doing. What should have been Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yeah. That is absolutely crazy. Apparently these plots were not new. They were revealed back by Chris Fisks. Oh yeah, the plot focused. He was working on a game over a decade ago. Yamauchi Taka. Taka means hawk to coincide with the then naming convention. Oh yeah. AKA Excalibur, Genghis Khan's sword. How it had given its last wielder, Oda Nobunaga, an unfair advantage. Dang. Wow. Oh geez, this is a rather long article. But yeah, holy moly. If that was actually... Yeah. Doesn't that sound way better than what they're doing? Oh my gosh. So So we're kind of running a little bit over. So let's get into kind of the main topics that we have. So Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii maligned as Nazi and Chud for questioning gender ideology being required for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. Absolutely ridiculous. Excuse me. So people are maligning him. It's a Nazi and Chud. He revealed this in a recent interview that we covered last Monday, actually. And that, yeah, he's being told there's various regulations in place. Apparently, it's not allowed to show too much skin. There's too much exposure. The age rating goes up. Can't sell to all ages. Under the name of compliance, it's like an absolute god, an evil disguised as good. There's not such thing as content that doesn't make everyone uncomfortable because beauty and ugliness, good and evil, are different for everyone. There are a few things that absolutely must not be done. As long as you follow those, you're free to do the rest. And doing business with such a ridiculous country is really frustrating. Dude, we do not want Japan to think of us like that. Especially when it's not even us that are asking this. It's a bunch of fucking weirdos. Yeah, changed it to type 1 and 2. So now, because he questioned this insertion of gender ideology, he has brought him the ire of activists who are labeling Horii as a Nazi. This douchebag says, Yuji Horii going Nazi was not on my bingo sheet. Projection. The user explained his reasoning in a subsequent post. First, he wrote, pretty much welcoming culture war terrorists who tend to be Nazis. Because someone asked, Yukio, what in the blue blazes are you on about? How does that make him Hitler? Pretty much welcoming culture war terrorists who tend to be Nazis. Another post, it was censored because of Zero, and that's been consistent for over a decade that Type A and Type B stuff is not censorship. That's what he's claiming is the reason why. Interestingly, the user would later admit he did not actually watch the interview. Oh, so I don't feel bad that I accidentally slipped in loser. No, they were specifically talking about the designs that they had to just censor now. Did you watch the video itself? You can turn on subtitles. It's the same design they've been using since 2012, only with yellow clothing instead of black. No, I haven't watched the video. I haven't had the time. Bitch cop-out move. All of your stuff should be completely disregarded. One user on the Gaming Circle Jerk subreddit described Horii and Toshima as douchebags. He wrote, to be fair, I don't think creatives should have to do something they don't want to because of outside forces telling them to do so. And just slapping body type A and B labels on what was obviously designed as a male and female choice is one of the most annoyingly performative things I've seen in games. Nevertheless, he then added, that said, these two still sound like douchebags, and I won't be buying their game. Good, because it sounds like you're not a gamer to begin with, and just think they should have the right to make it. I just think they should have the right to say it. Did you not, dude, listen. Again, these people do not listen, and one even admitted he did not watch the video. These people are straight up going, well, we're being told this. It's confusing. He straight up admits doing business with such a ridiculous country. Gosh, these people. These weirdos, these worms. That subreddit sounds gay as fuck. It does sound gay as fuck. Yeah, they should have the right to do what they want. Okay, yeah, we find it kind of weird. Gosh, this doesn't make sense. This person. I just think they should have the right to make it the way they want it to. Creators. Yeah, we're kind of being told that we have to do this for compliance. Well, they sound like douchebags. What? What are you talking about? Oh my gosh. Another user in the subreddit wrote, no surprise people associated with Toriyama would be this chuddy. Here, every time I see something new from the dinosaurs in charge of DQ, I get happy that I don't like DQ. Easily the worst of the remaining JRPG franchises to me. Well, I'm not seeing any votes up and down and stuff. And then they're padding. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because again, that Park Place is padding the end of the article with quotes from Archbishop Alexander Sample of the Archdiocese of Portland, explaining pronouns and stuff like that. What do you make of these people bashing Yuji Horii for questioning the mandatory inclusion of gender ideology to Dragon's Quest? Scumbags, because usually the people who whine this much about that sort of stuff are usually the real, I'll say it, they're the real Nazis and chuds. Always are, because they always rewrite history. Yuji Horii-san, my apologies that these weirdos and these ass fisters are calling you this stuff, because they're just mad that their lies are being called out and their bullshit's being exposed. I mean, they could stay in their retarded gaming circle jerk stuff for all they want. It's probably their thing anyway. All right. And so the last article we have here is kind of me catching up on the Godot engine, because I've heard about it, but I haven't really looked at it. Apparently now there's the response to backlash over woke game promotions. So the Godot engine experienced, this is from Niche Gamer, increased popularity after some baffling policy changes from competitor Unity last year, though the game engine may have squandered that goodwill by politicizing their online presence. So after the official Godot engine social media and Discord servers waded into the ongoing culture war, some feel that Godot went beyond what it should be doing as an open source game engine. So in a recent tweet, Godot asked for users to share woke games, making a joke against a post which called all game engines woke, unaware that a vast majority of games, even mainstream ones, use readily available engines to expedite development. Apparently game engines are woke now. Well, then we won't complain, Rainbow. Show us your woke got games below. Awesome. Game engine. It's Unity 5. Oh, so you people just can't develop for shit? It makes sense, doesn't it? Woke studios always use pre-built engines to make games because they can't build their own engines. So while things could have stopped there, a backlash to the tweet prompted an overreaction from Godot, creating a cascade of escalation that forced the Godot Foundation to comment on it. At first, Godot and its community manager received criticism, admittedly some harassment from anonymous social media users. You know what? It's going to happen to anybody. That you're going to get harassment from some anonymous stuff. Just throw on the block button, mute the person, and move on. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the response was to swiftly ban almost everybody giving criticism over the tweet. Oh. But remember, these people label harassment as anything that doesn't agree with their ideology. Not just on social media, but also on GitHub. A project manager for Godot maintains they've only banned a small number of accounts on GitHub. However, this doesn't change the fact that users were getting mass banned on their Twitter and on Discord. As a result of the increased scrutiny, users uncovered messages from an unofficial moderator of Godot containing slurs. Oh yeah, it was the old N-word. Yeah. See? Again, the projection. These people's skeletons are usually way worse than what they're claiming they're being harassed. The people who are supposedly harassing them. Me, in the end, I don't care. I don't care about, the extreme words like, faggot and the N-word and stuff like that. I'm not going to say the N-word just because, who knows, the weirdos out there and stuff like that. I think it's all funny to begin with. And if people learn to laugh at that, it has no power over them. But people, come from the 90s. Faggot and those extreme words were dropped all the time. So as a result of this whole mess, the Godot Foundation stepped in, released a statement defending their initial tweet, while also distancing themselves from the one moderator and his comments. See? That's what they always do. They'll point out to you that the right is bad because there's so much extremists in there. But when you find extremists on them, they have to distance themselves. Oh, well, they're a bad example. They don't really represent us. And then you learned some skeletons about other people, and it's the same thing. And it just repeats. It snowballs. Statement from Godot Foundation. On Friday, we made a tweet that unexpectedly led to a wave of harassment. X to doubt on, I feel like you kind of expected it based on what I'm reading, but I'm taking it at face value. At our staff and community, we unequivocally condemn this abuse. The volume of negative engagement overwhelmed our moderation efforts. Define what negative engagement is. If someone's literally criticizing your thing and you're just banning them because you just don't agree with them, I mean you're a bitch. While attempting to protect the Godot community, we mistakenly blocked individuals who were not participating in the harassment. The Godot Foundation Board takes full responsibility for these moderation acts. Notice how they're only taking the responsibility of banning specific individuals. They're not taking responsibility that they were the ones that started this whole thing. If you believe you were blocked in error and have not violated our code of conduct, please contact us with the form link. We are committed to swiftly rectifying any mistakes. How about the mistakes that you stepped into a pile of shit and now you got to own in it? Come on now. We firmly stand by our mission to keep our community spaces free of hate. See, look at this. Just a vague thing. What is hate? What do you consider hate? Discrimination and other toxic behavior. Look at this. Yeah, see? An empty apology. Empty apology. This is written so vague that they can keep anybody out that they disagree with. The Godot Foundation Board on our community moderator, Xanax, how appropriate, or Xanax, strongly condemned the harmful language used by Xanax, a moderator of an unofficial Godot-related Discord server. We want to clarify that he is not hired by nor a spokesman of the Godot Foundation. And yet, why'd you have him there? As an organization, we have our own official Discord server moderator together with new volunteer vetted by our team. So I guess that's kind of like the recent update. It sounds really gay to me, to be honest. Like, you know, really
gay.
Really, you know.
This guy must be a fag.
All that. But that is what I have for you tonight, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed the show and you are on YouTube and Rumble and haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want to see more of this, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. We were also on X. See a lot of people on X. Thanks for hanging out with me. You can also feel free to give me a follow over there if you so wish, because I would assume you get notified when I go live on that way. But, you know, YouTube, they don't like to send out notifications depending on who you are. Rumble, though, and my locals, you can get notified when I go live then. That is for sure. But, yeah, that's all I have for you tonight, guys. So, again, blessed and humble that you guys took the time to hang out with me. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys helping the channel grow and just helping push that algorithm. We're working hard. Maybe we can get up to 12K on YouTube and over 1,000 on Rumble. That'd be pretty cool. Komaga says, glad I stopped by. See ya. Yep. See you guys. Well, I guess, you know, we haven't, let's see. I guess before we sign off this day in gaming, let's end on a more upbeat high note here. We always like to take a gander at what games were released today. Because of all of that, you know, that DEIing of, you know, Ubisoft and all that stuff has got you down. We can always count on games from the past. I don't know why GameFAQs always starts off on, like, the next day. Oh, my goodness. Castlevania Symphony of the Night was released today. Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit. The Family Guy game, if that's your shtick. NBA 2K8. Legend of Spyro, The Eternal Night, Risen. Spider-Man Friend or Foe. Hey, your Resident Evil 6. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix. Wow, there's a lot of solid ones. Omega Quintet. If you like the Doki Doki Literally Club, that came out on Linux. You got your Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Mega Man 11. Oh, dude, Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise, best Fist of the North Star game out there. Dude, that game is legit. Just making people explode. Amazing. Daime Kira, apparently, was released. Apparently recently. Why are they listing all the stuff that was released today? Or at least this month. F-Zero Climax. Wait. 0 years. Wait. Why is this saying they made it for Game Boy Advance, but it's released today? That must be on like the what's it called? Like the Nintendo list or something. And then we can always jump over to Moby Games to kind of get more of like a world things. Game facts. Yeah. Your Prince of Persia on the Apple II was released in the United States today. Three Dirty Dwarves. I don't know. That game just stuck out to me. I don't know what it is. I just thought the name was funny. Apparently for Windows. Oh gosh, The Mummy Returns. That game should have been good, but it just flopped. I think they had a great chance to make a cool game with The Mummy, but they failed. I never played it. I was started watching a playthrough of it, and it was just like, oh no, this could have been so good, but it's not. FIFA Soccer 07. And then you got 09. Hey, Dragon Age Origins was released for the PS3. It's a downloadable release in the United Kingdom. It's a good game. Dragon Origins was a good one. I need to play Dragon Age 2, I think. I have it for Steam. Install some mods there. There's a Steelbook edition of Shadow of Mordor, but, you know, whatever. Poo Shooter Toilet Invaders worldwide on Windows was released in 2016. That's your thing. Yeah. I think we read a lot of the good ones on Game Facts. I'm not really seeing anything else that's catching my eye at the moment. Dude, can't believe it. Lost in Paradise. Oh, that's a good game. Should play it again. Who doesn't love being Kenshiro and making people explode? All right. Well, there's a good time. There's a good spot to end. All right. Well, thanks again, you guys. Thanks for the support. Hope to see you guys tune in again on Friday. Tomorrow we'll do some gaming. And I didn't do gaming yesterday because the vice president debates were on, and I unfortunately got hooked in. So I was like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll either continue Blue Dragon tomorrow, or we will either start X-Men 2, X-Men Legends 2, The Rise of Apocalypse. We've got that set up. And I'm getting Bayonetta coming in. So got some good games we could start if we wanted to. So let me know, you guys, if you want. What game you would like to see alongside Blue Dragon, since we already started that, if you so wish. But we'll definitely be playing something. And then on Friday will be another show, Power Up Podcast, 8 p.m. Central Time. Then over the weekend, we will be just casual gaming. All right. See ya, Komanga. Thanks for everyone hanging out. Take care. God bless. Catch you on the flip side. And peace.